will Tennessee be a top 25 program after this season? Top 25 in the college football playoff era. So recently, according to the Sporting News and Bill Bender, a friend of the program who we'll have on from time to time this fall, had a scoring method to rank the best programs of the college football playoff era. As you might expect, Alabama was number one, Clemson number two, Ohio State number three, Georgia number four, Oklahoma number five. Then I'll run down the rest. LSU, Michigan, Notre Dame, Oregon, Wisconsin in the top 10. Tennessee not in the top 30. When you go down the list, they are tied for 33rd with a bunch of other schools, including Mississippi State, Houston, Stanford, Western Michigan, Virginia, Iowa State, North Carolina, Tulane, Kansas State. Explain to me how this formula is created. And then I want to ask you the question, will Tennessee be a top 25 program in the college football era after this year?
So the formula is created with you get 10 points for a national championship. You get 5 points for a college football playoff championship appearance. You get 5 points for a college football playoff appearance. Now, to be fair, Dave, you tell me, do you think you should get more points for appearing in the title game versus just appearing in the college football playoff? Or do you think since it's 4 teams, that carries the same weight?
I would give more points to those who advance further. So if I'm doing this, you get 5 points to make it. If you make the college football playoff, you get, let's say, 7 points if you win your semifinal game, and you get 10 points if you win it all.
Okay. So
that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then, so a New Year's Six appearance is 2 points. And then other metrics are winning percentage, consensus All-Americans, NFL draft picks, Heisman Trophy winner, and a Heisman Trophy winner is an extra point, basically. So using these formulas, Tennessee's total score was 2 with a bunch of other teams because they've just made a New Year's Six bowl, which puts them in league with, unfortunately for them, an in-state school in Memphis, which actually was ranked ahead of Tennessee until this year, probably because of that. That's all they've got to their resume right now. Now, of course, the college football playoff came into existence when Tennessee was at its lowest point in history. I mean, they had been on the heels of 4 straight losing seasons, the only time since 1907 to 1910 that happened. And also they were entering an era with a very incompetent, who you refer to as a sociopath, head coach.
Maybe. So let me ask you this. Will Tennessee be top 25 using this formula after this year college football playoff era team?
No.
No. Okay, why?
Because they will only get 2 more points after this year. And those 2 more points will be they're going to make another New Year's Six bowl, so they'll get to 4 points. But that would put them at number 29 right now. They still need, they got to get to a college football playoff or win a national title. And the scoring method is going to have to change in a year anyway when the CFP goes to 12 teams. So it's, unless they make the playoff, which even if they make the playoff, by the way, that still would put them at number 27, tied with Baylor. To get into the top 25, they actually have to win the national title this year. That's the only way they can crack the top 25. So no, they're not going to be a top 25 team after this year.
That would be quite a year. 25 years later, you shouldn't have to wait 47 years for a national championship. 25 would be pretty neat. I think Tennessee is at the very worst one of the New Year's Six bowls, and I think they've got maybe a better opportunity than you think. I'm curious of making the college football playoff, and I say that because, man, I think Alabama views Tennessee, or at least should, as a tough matchup overall, especially now that I think they're going to dial things down a little bit, play ball control. I could be dead wrong, Alabama fans, but to me, it feels a little bit like desperation in this day and age of up-tempo. You're going to try to zig while other people are zagging. So it wouldn't surprise me actually if Tennessee made the college football playoff. I've got them predicted going 10-2, but at 11-1, they definitely make it. At 10-2, they could make it. So I'm not ruling them out of a college football playoff right now. I think the only game that I can't see Tennessee winning this year is Georgia. I could see them beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa, which sounds insane.
I mean, I could see them beating both teams. I could easily see them beating Georgia too at Neyland, the second to last week of the year. We've talked a lot about Joe Milton in this show, and Josh Pate had a great talking point, Dave, the other day. You know, when he talked about dark horse Heisman contenders, you know this, Dave. The Heisman's all about moments more than anything. Like Hendon Hooker's moment was the Alabama game. What if Joe Milton's moment is the Georgia game? That's the second to last week of the season. I mean, maybe one of the reasons Tennessee's never had a Heisman winner is because their last game has always been Vanderbilt. So you're not going to get a Heisman moment in November if you're Tennessee, because who do you get your Heisman moment against? I mean, normally you play a bad schedule in November. I thought Peyton Manning had a Heisman moment against Auburn in the 97 SEC championship game. Between me and you, Dave, I think a lot of people turned in their ballots before that SEC title game in 97. And I think that's why Woodson won. Because
there's some people that turn their votes in 3 weeks before, which I think is just absolutely insane.
Yes, and also during that time, a lot of voters didn't believe you should take conference championship games into account because everybody didn't play it. Like many people may have felt it's unfair that Peyton Manning got this extra week, whereas Charles Woodson didn't have that because the Big Ten didn't have a title game that year. But so yeah, you need a November moment. Tennessee doesn't have. They have a chance now for November moments. When you cover Tennessee, November was just a throwaway month, honestly.
It was horrible. It was all about bowl predictions. And a lot of those Vanderbilt Kentucky games, Tennessee didn't play well because they didn't respect those two teams. They were far better. And Tennessee would either come out and score 35 in the first half and the game was over, or it seemed like Vanderbilt and Kentucky would hang tough and eventually Tennessee's talent would win out. There was no opportunity for a Heisman moment. Those two games, there was no opportunity to improve your standing in what is now a college football playoff, because those two games were everything to lose, nothing to win. You're supposed to win them. At the time, they'd beat them, 22, 24 years in a row, respectively. So you're just supposed to win those games. If you play flat, that ain't good. And Tennessee oftentimes did play flat.
And how are you supposed to compete with that when you have, like, in 93, Charlie Ward gets to beat Florida for his last regular season game, or, you know, whoever it may be winning Heisman's during that time period. I mean, Charles Woodson gets to play Ohio State for his last regular season game. I mean, and you're stuck here playing, just hoping to get by Vanderbilt and wanting to fall out of bed and sleep through it. I mean, that's kind of the issue. So Georgia this year, the fact that Tennessee plays Georgia second to last game, Joe Milton is uniquely positioned to have a Heisman moment because Tennessee finally has a meaningful November game. And I think they can beat Georgia because we haven't seen Neyland you haven't, because what we're talking about, we've never seen Neyland in late November for a late November game that's really, really meaningful, ever. That's never happened.
So it's a very, very good point that I hadn't even considered to this point. Travis says, I'm willing to bet Caleb's paperback book collection in the background that Clemson struggles to finish in the top 10 from here on. I think Clemson.
They're mostly hardbacks. What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, I think that I do believe that Clemson is going to be the one program who could suffer the most moving forward in this college football playoff. But I still think they'll be pretty good and hang out there for a while. Then we'll see how much longer Dabo Swinney wants to do this thing, and we'll see what the guy's first name, Riley's brother.
Garrett Riley.
We'll see what he does offensively with those guys.